Do I say our last name right? Ammar. I like to say Ammar.
No, I think Ammar is better.
Really?
Yes.
I switched. I went from Ammar to Ammar.
Even though it's a 5-letter name, some people get it confused and they mispronounce it. They'll say Ammar.
Yeah.
Even with Tarek, I get Tarek, and I've had
Oh,
it
you
misspelled
hate
so
when-
many times. And I'm like, it's just a 5-letter name. Shouldn't
You
be
hate
that
when
complicated.
You hate when people mess up your name.
Yeah.
My brother, Dr. Tarek Ammar, is here. Thanks. I've been asking you to do this for a long time. You are obviously somebody I've known my whole life. You are a chiropractor here in Edmonton. You've gone through your ups and downs with school and education. I've watched you kind of grow, and you've always been, that's it. You haven't changed much, but you've always been very disciplined in your career and what you're after. But I thought today we'd have like a doctor's confession kind of podcast. Tell us things that we don't normally hear about. And we'll get to those in a minute. But maybe take us from the beginning, because I remember I got a chance to go out to California, San Jose, where you studied at Palmer West College.
That's correct, yep.
Yeah, so maybe take us through that. Why did you even get into it?
Well, I did my undergrad here at the U of A. I majored in biology and I minored in chemistry and physics. And that set the stage for me going into chiropractic college. The reason why I went into that profession, or into this profession, is I like the natural approach to medicine. I like the approach of it where we can use the body's natural ability to heal itself for musculoskeletal problems, of course. Other ailments or issues in the body, medical issues, of course, you will need medical intervention. You'll need medicine and pharmaceuticals. That we don't deny. But when certain musculoskeletal issues happen to a person, or ailments, we like the natural approach, and that's probably why I gravitated to this field of medicine.
So in your field, you don't find yourself prescribing a lot of medicine like a family doctor would, or an MD. Am I right? Am I totally off?
Well, right now we're not licensed to prescribe medications. Of
Yeah.
course, prescribed medications over the counter we can suggest, but that's not our field of. That's not in our scope of practice.
Yeah.
We can recommend things over the counter, and that even we can recommend certain medications for musculoskeletal problems, of course, but we like to steer away from it. But in certain situations, we do get patients that need medical intervention, and I tell them, I'm no hypocrite. If your back pain is a 10 out of 10 and you need an anti-inflammatory or a muscle relaxant or a painkiller, definitely go get a prescription from your medical doctor and take it to bring down that intensity of pain. But in generally, I do get asked if I could prescribe something, and I tell them, no, I can't, of course. And I refer them to, right now, because I'm in a medical clinic, I refer them to the medical doctor in our clinic where he can prescribe something for them if needed.
How is that now, having a shared space with other professionals that are in the healthcare industry versus the location you had in Clairview, where you were pretty much the only doctor there? You had some physiotherapist there and whatnot, but how is it having a shared space versus having your own?
It's very good because it's a diverse approach to healing the patient, where it's very accessible. And nowadays, where a lot of patients go to their doctors and there's a long wait time. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of doctors, and we have a lot more patients. So the patients ending up waiting a long period of time to see their doctors. So with that being in a clinic with multiple disciplines of medicine, it's very it facilitates the healing process for the patient, because the patient will come to us or come to me and they need treatment. I'll treat them. If they need a medication, I can refer them to a medical doctor. If they need a referral to a specialist, I can ask the doctor to do that for us. There's certain diagnostic tests that are not covered by Alberta Health if we were to prescribe them. Mm-hmm. For example, if I was to send a patient out for an ultrasound, Alberta Health will not cover it. But if the medical doctor sends them out for an ultrasound, Alberta Health will cover it. We're allowed to send out for x-rays. We can do that readily. It's no problem. And it also works the other way, where the doctor will have a patient coming in complaining of some musculoskeletal problem, be a neck pain or back pain or shoulder or knee pain, he'll refer them to me. And he'll even suggest, he'll go, you know what, maybe we should send him out for an X-ray. I'll write him up for an X-ray. I'll do an assessment on him and a treatment and give him the diagnosis and that. So
I was going to ask you, there's a lot of it's a two-way street, because then it works the other way, where he has some patients and then you're within 2 doors down where he can just walk them over.
Yeah, that happens a lot. We have a lot of shared patients in that, and we talk sometimes. If we come across if he sends me a patient, he refers me a patient, and I just give him some feedback of what I found and what I think is going on, and what tests I want to send him out for. So it's very helpful for the patient. Ultimately, that's our goal, is to treat the patient and to get them back onto the road of wellness as soon as we can.
You mentioned wait time.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're the one that mentioned it, what in the hell is up with the wait time? Why, like, maybe in different fields of medicine, it's for different reasons, but all of us have been there, where we go to a doctor's office, we wait in the little room, we wait in the big room first, and then you can hear doors closing, opening, somebody comes in, sits you down in the seat, then the doctor shows up. Are the doctors always busy when you're waiting, or are they I don't want to start cussing, we just started, but what do they do? Like what's give us the inside scoop on what's going on.
They are busy, and I didn't realize this till I started working in a medical clinic. I've been there for 3 years and about 3 months. I didn't realize how busy they were till I started in this medical clinic. And yes, they are very busy. And how it works is the doctor will see a patient. He'll have to go back to his office, pull up the patient's chart on HealthQuest, chart his notes, and especially if he's going to give a prescription, type up the prescription, print it off, sign it, and give it back to the patient. So that takes a while, because then the doctor's constantly going back and forth between the treatment room and his office to type up the prescription.
Oh, so it's not always from patient to patient. There's a lot of paperwork involved.
Oh, yes.
Going to your desk, going to see
definitely
the receptionist at the front, and working with fax machines.
And not only that, like thinking right there on the spot of what other tests he needs to do. So it is a lengthy process per patient, and that's what the delay is. And then also you factor in the times of when patients show up. Like, for example, in our practice, we open 9 to 5. We're busy from 9 to 12. It's go, go, go. Then it slows down a bit at lunch between 12 and 2. Then 12 to 5, we're busy again. So a lot of patients will come before they go to work or after they come from work. And that's why you get the busy times. Now, I hear complaints from patients saying that they went to the Northeast Medical Center, or they went to the Sturgeon or Royal Alex, and they complain of wait times. And I tell them, I took this actually in public health course in my graduate studies. The wait times are purposely done. When you show up to the hospital, they make you wait actually 4 hours on purpose. They want to see in that 4 hours, does your situation get better or worse? Yes.
They want to know if you heal yourself.
If you really need it or not. Now.
Wow.
So in that
that makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah.
As shitty as it sounds, and as horrific as our experiences have been doing that, makes sense.
The 4 hours you're sitting there, and I've been in those situations. I've been in both situations. I landed in the Northeast. I had a gallbladder issue. I waited there for 3 hours, but I was there, and then by the third hour, I got better. So I left. I didn't wait for the 4 hours.
Yeah.
Now, one time I actually did again land into the Sturgeon Hospital because of my gallbladder, and I was not leaving. I waited there the 4 hours because I was dying from pain. Mm-hmm. So they knew my situation was serious. They took me in. Now, after they take you and they assess you and they give you a diagnosis and they give you the medications and that, they make you wait there 4 hours, because now they want to see if you improve or get worse. If you improve, great. They discharge you, you're off, you go home. If you get worse, at least you're in the hospital, and they can treat you right there. Something happens, you crash, your system crashes, or you get severely ill, you're right there in the hospital. They can treat you. And also, like, you think about it, a lot of people have left the emergency rooms after 2-3 hours. They're not. Probably the situation wasn't that as bad as they thought it was, and
there might be more severe situations.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Where you're sitting down and you got a kid beside you that's obviously in way more pain than you, or parents don't know what's going on. you kind of feel bad that it's your turn next. And you're like, am I really in that much pain, or can I handle it? Can I see how I feel in a few days? We've all been there too, where you look around and you're not the sickest person in the waiting room, or somebody that's in dire need of, a doctor's attention.
We've had situations where people have gone to the hospital, have waited the wait times, and then just given up and come to us or things like that. And we know that it's not an emergency situation. And when it is an emergency situation, believe me, they're not going to be coming to my door, coming through my clinic or medical clinic. They're going to go straight to the emergency room. We have this sick notion in medicine where our attitudes are, in your condition, if you don't get better, we're okay with that, as long as you don't get worse. If you get better, we're ecstatic. But if you maintain status quo, we're okay with that, as long as you don't get worse. So when patients come to me after they see me on their first visit, they come up for a follow-up, I usually ask them, are you better, worse, or no change in that? And they tell me, honestly, no, I feel the same. I'm like, good. You know what? I'm happy with that. As long as you're not getting worse and worse. That's the situations that really worry us, when a patient gets worse and worse and worse. In spite of any medical intervention we've done, and they're still not getting any better, they're declining, then that's a situation that does worry us.
I'm going to ask a lot of questions, and you would think, because you're my brother and I've known you my entire life, and I've seen you, you've helped me out quite a bit in playing hockey, injuries I've gotten into. You've treated me, adjusted me for years now, and you've helped me out a lot. There's still some questions that I haven't asked you, like simple stuff that people might not know about. You mentioned, waiting in a room at the hospital and seeing if, your condition improves or status quo or gets worse. How does somebody know when they should be seeing a chiropractor? How does somebody know when they need to go see their family doctor? How does somebody know? Obviously, there's obvious, circumstances where you go right to emergency, but generally speaking, because I go to you for everything, because you're my brother, not a lot of people have that ability or the luxury to do. Why does somebody go see a chiropractor versus anybody else? Because I come see you if my knee hurts, my ankle hurts, my back hurts. Sometimes I go to visit you and I get adjusted. We don't have time to, catch up on things, unfortunately, but we get right to the heart of the matter. I go see you for everything, but what does a person need to be going through to really know if they should be seeing a chiropractor versus, their family doctor?
Well, usually it's referral from another patient. The funny thing is, I had a patient come to me for a shoulder problem. I treated him a couple of times, got him 100% better. Next day, another guy shows up with a shoulder problem. I found it weird, another shoulder issue, because usually we don't get a lot of extremity issues like shoulder, elbow, knees, or ankles. We get more back and neck issues coming to us, but I found it weird, and I asked him, another shoulder issue, and he goes, oh yeah, you fixed my friend's shoulder, so he referred me to you. So
bad shoulders tell other bad shoulders.
Tell other patients, yes, for sure. So patients will hear from family members or friends telling them that if they complain about something, they'll say, hey, go see my guy or go see my chiropractor. They've done this for me in the past. And some will be from medical doctors. Some will go to see their doctor and they'll be like, yeah, you got low back pain. I can give you a prescription, but go see a chiropractor, even go do physio. Explore these options for the low back problem you're having. So some of it comes from the medical, some comes from family, some comes from friends. The internet, a lot of people Google things, and unfortunately, I think as much as a useful tool it is, the internet and the Google searches, it can
scares the shit out of you sometimes.
It can be detrimental because a lot of people come in, they've read it on the internet, and they believe that this is the issue, or they believe this is the problem because they've read it on the internet. And I tell them,
don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Anybody can post anything on the net. The $9.99 to get a website, and you can post anything you want. So I tell them there is valuable information available, but consider the source. Go to sources that you can trust, reputable sources. Don't just read anywhere, because if you Google low back pain, you'll probably come up with 1 million hits.
And take it with a grain of salt, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
You've had quite the journey to get to the point you're at now. Mm-hmm. What I remember being a family member is the endless amounts of hours. Used to stay up till 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Sometimes you'd fall asleep with books in your hands. You're very educated. You're very well read. You're very well spoken. You're obviously got a lot of discipline, and that's what I personally know about you. But what's your recommendation or your advice to somebody that's seeking out a career in this field and wants to be a chiropractor, and what obviously maybe talk about some of the ups and downs, but what's your ultimate advice for somebody seeking a career in the one that you're in?
I'm glad you asked that, because I get some kids that will come to me that are doing their undergraduate and they do want to explore, they are exploring the possibility of becoming a chiropractor. I tell them the best thing to do is go shadow one for a month. I would go sit with a chiropractor 5 days a week for a month straight and just see what they do every day and the treatments that they administer to patients. The job is very physically demanding, and a person may come to see their medical doctor. They might spend 5 to 10 minutes max. At the end, the doctor will do some exams on them, write up a prescription, and send them off. Us, we do the same thing. We do a workup where we examine the patient, do a write-up, take a history, and then we give them a diagnosis and a treatment plan. Then we got to administer that treatment plan if we're not going to send them out for any tests like x-rays and whatnot. And then we got to physically do the work on them. So the job is physically exhausting. It is tiring. It seems like to me, it's both mentally and physically tiring. And that's why I would suggest to a lot of people, especially those that come with, that are very enthusiastic of becoming chiropractors, I tell them, go shadow chiropractor for a month. And I tell them, you can come and shadow me for a month and just see what I do every day with the patients. It is exhausting. It is rewarding too, where when you've treated a patient that's come for you for an issue that have been told that they're going to live with this for the rest of their life, or they're going to be on painkillers for the rest of their life, and you do a few treatments on them and they get 100% better. That is a very rewarding part of it. The frustrating part of it is when you treat a patient, you're not getting anywhere with them. And that's definitely the most challenging part. It's disheartening because you want to help them and you want to figure out what the problem is. And you're using the tools that you've been taught to utilize to treat them and get them better. So that is a frustrating part.
But some medicine doesn't work sometimes you take an Advil and does nothing for your headaches. You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of things that you can try and do and get suggested that don't actually work. So you're not the first or the last, obviously.
In science, we call it trial and error.
Yeah.
You try something, it works, great. Doesn't, you move, you try something else. If that doesn't work, you try something else. So that's where we get the trial and error from. Another frustrating part is the justification, if you want to call it, or the proving ourselves to the public that we are I don't want to say experts, but we are well knowledgeable in the area that we work in, our scope of practice, which is musculoskeletal problems. Mm-hmm. I tell people, you're not coming to me for your flu. I cannot tell you if it's bacterial or if it's viral. That stuff I don't know. Yeah. And I stick to what I know, and that's musculoskeletal problems. That's a part of the profession that can be frustrating because we feel like we always have to justify, we always have to fight tooth and nail to convince people that we know what we're talking about, we know what we're doing. But yeah. But I do have patients that have come to me. I started in 2006, and they've been with me from 2006 till today. They're still my patients. I've moved 3 times to 3 different clinics, and they still follow me. And they refer a lot of patients to me, and that's a rewarding part of the practice.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because it is a practice where you have to, you seem to be having to defend yourself.
Yes.
And not all the time, but you get some situations where things come up and you're not an expert in other fields, so you have to prove yourself in the field that you're in, but you are experts in what you do. So you've helped me quite a bit, and we've talked about me going to see you with my knee problems and that. You've used some different not alternative measures, but you've, I don't even know if that's the right word. Modalities. Okay, so that's that's the best term to use. So you've used other modalities, but have you seen it change because you guys are pride yourself on using the body's, your treatments are very natural. You don't use a lot of medicine, but have you seen the technology, your equipment, things change along the way from back to, you started in what? Because you did this in 2006?
2006 I started, yeah.
And when did you open up your first practice?
2006.
Okay.
February 2006.
Okay.
That's my.
So have you seen that? So have you seen that in the last 13 years where technology's changed, your approach to a patient has changed, or is it still, because it seems very traditional in the way you guys do things? I mean, from what I've seen you've always adjusted me the same. We've always kind of talked about the same thing. If it was painful, if it wasn't, certain areas of the body. I've never seen you pull out something that I didn't recognize, but we have tried different things on my knee. What was that? You explain it.
Active release?
That, but there was another one. It was something to do with shock.
Cold laser therapy.
Yeah. Well, which helped, by the way.
Well, yes, it has evolved. It has evolved from probably when I graduated till today, and it will continue to evolve. This is the importance of continuing ed. This is why all healthcare professions stipulate that their members have to have continuing ed credits throughout the year to keep up to date on the material that's coming out, new technologies, new discoveries, new modalities that they're finding that are helping patients. Now, probably many years ago, 100 years ago when chiropractic was out there, I don't see the issues we're encountering today being back then. So maybe they got away with the adjustment being suffice to treat a person. Nowadays, because people are becoming more athletic, injuries are becoming more diverse. The patients are becoming more diverse with the different problems, different array of problems they come in with. So we've had to grab new technologies and implement them in our practices to make the patient get better. So, for example, in my personal practice, I came in 2007. I incorporated cold laser therapy. It was new. I used it. You've experienced it when I worked on you. I've used it on patients, and I got great results from it. I used it for a few years. Then along came shockwave therapy. I don't use it, but I've heard of it. And I ask my patients, I go to get it done. They tell me it works wonders. Then spinal decompression came out, which is traction of the spine. The machines they're using nowadays for spinal decompression. So these are modalities that are bringing in. Me personally, what I've used from probably 2008 till today, along with the adjustment, I use a technique called active release technique. It's abbreviated ART. And basically what it is we put the structure in its natural range of motion while we actively release the scar tissue off the structure to let it heal better. That's why we call it active, because we're actually moving the patient. We're putting them through their active range of motion. And I incorporated a lot with my adjusting because I found majority of my patients were getting better with the spinal adjustments. But there's a certain number of patients I always felt like we would get 90% better, but there was always that 10% better. I hurt my shoulder playing hockey. A friend of mine did active release on me. A few sessions, it got 100% better. So I went and underwent the course, the training for active release technique, and I keep up with it. And I incorporate it a lot, and I love it. And I'll probably use it. Till I stop practicing. This might be adjusting.
This might be off topic. What's your take on cortisone shots? Like, because that's been thrown out there for me. I've, some things that you couldn't help that I found were like really severe, my ankle and a few things. I've been told that, hey, maybe you should try a cortisone shot. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but is that something you personally recommend? Maybe break that down if you feel like, if you want to, you can.
From cortisone shots, I've talked to my doctor about it even. We've talked about it. And he tells me sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. in my experience with my patients that have been referred out by other doctors in our office that have been told, you know what, go get a cortisone shot. Some of them come back and tell me, you know what, one shot was great. It worked. It got rid of the problem. Some have tried a few injections. It didn't do anything for them. So it's really hit and miss.
And it's a 6-month thing. Like you come back in 6 to a year. Is
some, that? You mean like some do it
like
every
in between?
Month.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Some do it every month. Some do it every 3 months, 6 months, years. It all depends on the condition they're experiencing or what they're trying to heal.
Yeah.
I get the feedback from my patients. I ask them, and that's where I build I've built my information on it. I've never had a cortisone shot myself. And I tell, when patients ask me, what do you think? Should I get a cortisone shot? I say, you know what? That's our second last resort. My last resort is surgery. Second last is cortisone shot. Let's try to heal it first.
So surgery even before that?
No, surgery, sorry, is the last resort.
Okay.
I would do cortisone before that.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just a powerful steroid that just decreases the inflammation in that area. If you were a quarterback and you had the Super Bowl tomorrow and you had an inflamed
you give me 4 of them.
They'll give you a cortisone shot because your livelihood relies on it.
Yeah.
But average person, us, you know, they would tell you probably hold off on the
Playing
cortisone.
hockey with the Jews guys doesn't count as a Super Bowl? No?
No.
Marty's going to be pissed when he hears that.
No, but the shot, unless it's in extreme situations, and sometimes honestly, when I've hit a wall where I just can't get I can't get the patient any relief, I say, you know what, maybe we should explore that option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on book number 26 this year, because I know you're an advocate reader.
28, humble brag.
28.
Yeah.
That is pretty fucking humble brag. I thought you'd go like the 35. But okay. So you're on what do you do on your downtime for people that don't know about you? Like what are some of the things that would surprise us? Cuz I hear about you going to hockey, you know, you got the boys and you read a lot. What else do you do? What does Tarek do when he's missing?
In my downtime I read a lot.
Yeah.
Guilty.
What's your favorite book so far this year?
Oh, yeah,
or one you'd recommend?
The Silent Patient.
The Silent
Patient. That's a very good book.
Who's it by?
I don't know. I would have to look it up.
You're like me. I never remember the name of the guy that wrote it.
I don't fall like. See, I'm a very unorthodox reader where I read a wide array of.
So you don't stick
books.
to medicine.
No. I read murder mysteries. I read biographies, memoirs. I like the factual stuff, the things are written about stuff we've encountered, like through the news and that cases or stories. And you know, we did just get little bits and pieces when we hear it on the news or on a documentary. But then when you read the book, you get way more information. And I read a wide
the Stephen Avery sort of story. Stephen Avery on Netflix. Did you hear about the guy in the States?
No,
got charged with murder and then got released and then got charged with another murder and turned out to be a somewhat of a setup. Yeah.
No,
I thought you'd love that. You'd love.
It sounds very interesting.
But it's a Netflix thing, not a book,
really?
right? So I just thought maybe they made that into a book because that would be probably one of the bestseller or something.
When I know a book has been made into a movie, I'll read the book first, then I'll watch the movie. Another downtime, like I spend a lot of time with my family. I have 2 boys that are active in hockey, and I have a little girl, and
who's 10 times more active than the 2 boys put together.
We spend a lot of family time. I play hockey myself. I'm on a couple of boards. I'm on the Druze board and on the Yunta Cultural Society board. So I'm pretty active with those. And
how's that been going?
Very good.
Yeah?
Yes. I like it. I enjoy it. A great group of people we're working with. And our
does it take up a lot of your time? Like, is it twice a month? 4 times a month?
Yeah,
like
there's always ongoing things. We always have projects in the works. So it's never like you get downtime, but you approach these projects like bits and bits at a time. And we have wonderful boards on both associations, and they're all hard workers, and we get a lot done. And we delegate. We all take on our own responsibilities, and we do tasks that we're good at, and we come together and we always finish our project. But yeah, now in the summer, because everybody's on holidays, we kind of have a little bit of a downtime.
Now it's more picnics and barbecues that you got to set up.
Yeah, for sure.
You have your phone handy?
Yes, I do.
Grab it. We're going to do a segment here that's sponsored by Maynes Donaire. This podcast is sponsored by Maynes Donaire. It's a Donaire shop here in Beaumont on the main drag. New location. Got to check it out. They make awesome food. We're going to get you to call a friend. Can't be somebody. It can't be like a best friend. Like call somebody you talk to once in a while. You're stranded. You got like 2%. Nobody would actually believe you have 2% left on your phone. You're not that guy. But this time we got to try it out. You have 2% left on your phone. Mm-hmm. You're on the south side. You got a flat tire. Your AMA's not working. Your phone's about to die. You got to come get me. I'll shoot you the address. Can you help me out? If that person says yes, you get dinner for two at Maynes Donaire. If they say no, you got to look into that camera and tell them you have 0 friends. Can you handle that?
Yes, for sure.
All right.
Okay.
Put them on speaker.
Okay.
Up to the mic. I will talk to them after, but just put it on the mic so we can all hear.
Okay. Here we go.
Who is it, by the way?
My friend Tony.
Tony Montana? You know, Tarek was the first one to introduce me to Scarface from his poster. I was like, what is this? Scarface. You're about to laugh. I could see it. So you're not here. You're stranded.
Hi, thanks for calling Tony Borelli's voicemail.
That's even worse, man. You just got a voice.
Please leave me a message.
Try somebody else. It doesn't have to be Tony that you do. You can still take out Tony, but
I have no friends.
Dude, this is where we're gonna input some music. Do 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 do.
Okay,
Buddy, Pap has more friends than you at this point.
let's go.
Where is he?
This is my guy.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Sorry to bother you. I'm stuck in the south side, and I have like 2% left on my battery on my phone. Oh, I have a flat tire. Can you come and help me?
For sure, send me the location.
Okay.
Who is that?
Rawad.
Rawad.
Hold on 1 second.
Rawad. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. It's Omar, Tarek's brother.
Hello.
I am Halafik. I am the host of the Beehive Podcast, and we have my brother on today for the first time. And we're playing a game where if he calls somebody and they say yes to helping him out, he gets dinner for two at Maynes. And that was probably the quickest yes I've ever heard so far since we started this. So he owes you a donaire, buddy. It's a dinner for two here in Beaumont. So next time you're in the area and you got Tarek on the phone or he's free, maybe bug him for that. But just wanted to say hi and say thank you very much.
Sounds good, I will. Thank
All
you so
right,
much.
brother. Take
No
care of
worries.
yourself. Great guy. Wow. Usually they're like, have you tried AMA? Can you call somebody else? Like, how flat is your tire? He's like, yeah, man, where are you? And he literally sounded like he just woke up. So this is for you, brother.
Thank you.
You don't have to take me. I'm on a diet, but they make great food. Maynes Donaire. You keep them on you.
I will give him a 5-star review on Google. On Google reviews.
No, she's great. So where do we go from here? That was funny, though. How quick was that, though? We had like 3 guys on begging for their life. The guy's like, just call AMA, man. He's like, I got 1% left. It's like, man, I'd love to, man. I'm really tired. He's like, we're tired. That was quick.
Talk about a test where you put yourself on the spot,
Right?
to discover who your real
I
friends
thought it was
are.
going to be a fail after Tony didn't answer. But, man, he made it up like, boom, like that. Yeah, send me your address. Where are you? He didn't even ask you where you were.
That's awesome.
Who is he? Rawad?
Rawad Hamid. Daniel's first cousin.
Oh, no way. Yeah. Well, if he's related to Daniel, they all got pure hearts, those guys.
Daniel's going to be my second call.
Oh, really? Shit, that would have been funny. But no, then you're letting Danny know what we're doing, because he might be on the show one day.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, anytime, I had a question written down here. Which one was it? I wanted to ask you 2 things, actually. I didn't want to forget, because usually I think of the good ones when we're done. Every time we had a family get together, I remember this about you and your practice and your career and what you do for a living. Every time you came to one of these family functions, everybody wanted you to adjust them, Did that ever, like, you did it with a smile on your face and you were happy to help, but did that ever piss you off where you come in to enjoy a barbecue and everybody's holding their back when you walk in? They're like, please, just a little adjustment maybe. Did that ever bother you?
In the healthcare field,
You didn't show it. You had the
No.
poker face, but
in the healthcare field, you're always open to helping people. That's the ultimate goal, is to heal the patient. But you do it 5 days a week, and you see patients all day, every day. And especially in this practice, we're really busy. It's go all day. Yeah, I don't want to say gets frustrating, but it does get a little bit. It gets tiring after a while, and it happens to me a lot. It happens to me at weddings. I'll be in the grocery store. I'll see somebody from our community or somebody I know. They'll come to me and they'll tell me about their shoulder, their arm, and that. And how I approach it is, when I'm in the clinic, I'm in my element. That's my game. That's my playground, is the clinic. I'm there 9 to 5. You have my undivided attention there. And that's my zone. Mm-hmm. Even when my wife wants to get adjusted, I tell her, you're better off just coming to the clinic. I'm in my zone. I'm there. When I come home, my home time, when I get home, it's for my family. I swore I never bring paperwork with me home. I don't do files at home. I keep them at the clinic. That's not fair to my family after I've been gone 8-9 hours a day to come home and continue to do paperwork while they just want my undivided attention, right?
Yeah.
Even like sometimes I've gotten into the habit, like sometimes I'll get work emails, like patients will email me wanting appointments or emailing me off my website, and that, to the point that I even took my email off my phone, my clinic email. Yeah. I took it off my phone. Yeah. I answer it only Monday to Friday. When I get to the clinic and I open up my email, that's when I start answering work emails. Yeah. I took it off my phone. I don't check my my work email at home or on my smartphone or nothing like that. Because I like to separate my personal life from my professional life, if you want to call it, right? So
okay, so that answers, I think, a little bit of the question I asked. Okay, so the other one would be, I wanted to ask you this because I've always known you as Dr. Tarek Ammar. So, what would you have been? What would you have pursued had you not been the doctor that you are now? Like, what would have been your field of choice? When did you decide, by the way, if we can just backtrack a little bit? What was your educational background before you got into, okay, this is what I want to do?
I was majoring in biology and minoring in chemistry and physics because that's the stuff we had to take to get into these professional schools. Yeah. If a student wants to apply to medical, dentistry, pharmacy, chiro, optometry, we all have to take the same undergrad courses, and we have to fulfill those requirements to apply to these schools. So basically, anybody going into the healthcare field, we all have the same background in the sciences, right? So, my goal was to either go into medicine. Even I thought about going into dentistry or pharmacy and then chiropractic, but I decided probably I think it was around 98. I was finishing up at the U of A, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue to do a master's or just go into chiropractic. So I explored it and researched it a bit, and then I liked it. I liked it kind of at that stage of my life. It spoke to me of how I wanted to conduct my professional life from then and there on. And
did you have any other choices? Any other options on the table? Obviously you didn't go with any of them, but was there one? What would be your fantasy if it wasn't this? What would be your ideal dream job that you would have wanted to do? Because you would have been good at a lot of things, but I'm just wondering, I want to hear from you.
There's a difference between wanting or fantasizing what you could do in life as opposed to what's realistically achievable, right? Of course, I would like to be.
He meant that. He was like directly that. I mean, some people fantasize about what they want to do.
No. We all have fantasies, and
you drive a nicer car, you have a bigger house. You have to do what you have to do. It's all, and you got kids and a family.
I would love to be a professional athlete, like a hocky player, and that. But
it seems like you're going after it now because you've gotten extremely better.
Too late. But it's not an achievable goal.
Yeah.
So
A lot of luck involved too. Like you do,
these guys, just like how I prepared myself 9 years of school to get where I am in my profession. These guys have trained since the age of 6 to where they are to become these athletes.
And you got to be injury free and
many things factor in.
Yeah.
So that's like an unrealistic goal. Probably if I had to, if let's say it fell apart and I didn't pursue
God
the
forbid.
chiropractic avenue, I would do something in security, like national security for our government and that. That's something I like to do stuff like that. And it's nothing like being a spy or anything like that. I like the technical part of it, the analytics part. I like that a lot. And
probably be a good translator.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm pretty good in a couple of languages. And,
you still speak Spanish like fluent? Like when you talk to Dad, you talk very. That's one thing I envy about you guys speaking Spanish. Boy, that pisses me off.
The thing is, when I lived in California, it was a great opportunity to develop the language because of the amount of people, Mexican nationals that live in California. You get to practice the language because in California, the second language is Spanish, and all you see everywhere is habla español. So it's a popular language there, and it helped me develop the language. But then when you come here, not a lot of people speak it. And if you ever encounter somebody that speaks it, you grasp onto them and you try to practice it with them. But my difficulty is, I have a few friends that speak Spanish. My difficulty is when they speak really quickly. I got to tell them to slow down so I can grasp what they're saying. But if I read and write it, I can read and write it. It's not an issue, but it's just the spoken part because you're not practicing it, right? So it becomes a little bit challenging at times.
Well, there's a lot of things I envy about you. Of course, I love how you stuck to something and you did it for years on end and didn't stop till you achieved it. I look up to you as a brother, always have, always will. You've always been there for me, whether I wanted some advice or just a guiding hand. I've always appreciated that about you. And happy Father's Day, because I know that just passed. And I don't know, did you talk to Dad?
Yes, I did, of course.
I called him, he didn't answer.
I did.
Yeah. I always catch one of them sleeping, one of them not sleeping. So how do people get a hold of you? For those with, I wanted to ask you one thing. This is going to be funny. Okay, so you know how people show up and you adjust them and you're doing your thing. Have you ever had, can you be too big to be adjusted? Because the reason I'm asking that is because I remember times where I've gone in to see you at your office and you've adjusted me. And I was maybe a little bit bigger then, I had a little more muscle, I was playing a lot of sports. And he'd always complain how big I am to move around and twist. Then I thought, you ever had a 350-pound lady or a 400-pound man come in and you were like, listen, I can't adjust you because I can't move you. Has that ever happened to you? And boy, I hope to God they're not listening, but has that ever happened to you where you actually had somebody that's just too big to work on? What an asshole I am. What an asshole.
No. Question. No. I've never had anybody big. Big to not work on. I've had big patients.
Does it work?
Yeah, I can work on them. Yeah,
oh, really?
You find a way. You get very creative. Maybe initially when I got into practice, I would struggle with how am I going to adjust them because you're still developing you're still developing the techniques. But as you patient after patient, you get more experienced, and then you start becoming creative with how to work around certain situations with patients. I have pregnant patients where I can't put them on their tummy. I have to figure out how am I going to adjust them. With the bigger patients, the funny thing is I get asked that a lot. People ask me, don't you find it tough to work on bigger patients? No, bigger patients are easy. It's the skinny ones that hurt.
Really?
The really, really thin ones that their bones are coming, you could see their bones through their skins. Those are the tough ones.
Why? That makes you not need X-ray vision anymore.
No, it's harder on the hands. The
really?
Bigger patients are easier. But then you get the really big patients. I had a couple in the past that were really big, but I still managed to work on them, and it's a challenge. But
don't ask me why I thought about that. Just remember you complaining about my size, back in the day.
That's probably the most asked question.
Really?
People always ask me that. Is it hard to work on bigger patients? I tell them no. It's the complete opposite. It's the skinny ones that are difficult to adjust. And the funny thing is, because I think a lot of people are conscientious of their body size and that, so they'll feel kind of shy if they're a little bit bigger and that. Yeah. And no judgment when somebody walks through my door. I don't judge them how they hurt themselves, why. Yeah. their lifestyle. That's not my job. My job is to guide them back into good health. And a difficult part is to sugarcoat what you want to say to them. If a person's overweight and that's what you think is causing their back problem, you have to be very tactful in advising them on how to make themselves better. But, you know, for example, I don't say like, oh, you're fat, you could drop a few pounds. I tell them, no, if you were a little bit lighter, lesser weight dragging down on your spine, you probably wouldn't be experiencing pain. And the funny thing is, in my clinical experience, patients that have been overweight and have lost a lot of weight always become pain-free with their low backs and that. Just it's my observation. You know, I wouldn't put it on my Yellow Pages website, on my Yellow Pages ad. But,
well, I know you didn't accept my invitation based on promotional reasons, but how do people get a hold of you if they have to? Like, do you want to throw out an address, an email address, a phone number?
Well, right now I'm practicing at Medicine Land Clinic. It's a multidisciplinary medical practice. We have MDs, a pain specialist, internal medicine, and I'm in there too. And we have an acupuncturist.
82nd Street?
129 Avenue and 82nd Street. It's called Medicine Land Clinic. I have a website. It's www.drtarekAmmarchiropractor.com, all one word. My first and last name and chiropractor.com. And
not Ammar. All right. 2 M's. You asked me earlier why I have a podcast, and we didn't want to get into that, but I'll tell you one reason why I have a podcast, because I just found out more about my brother, who I grew up with and spent years with, than I ever did before, just by having you in this hot seat where we had a conversation where you had my undivided attention and I had your undivided attention. So that's why everybody should have a podcast. I learned so much about you, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Those extra things.
I appreciate you bringing me on. And honestly, I was kind of nervous because it's a little bit different when you're talking to a patient. Because
you don't have headphones.
You don't have headphones. You don't have a mic.
Can you imagine you're adjusting something like, what are you doing? Listening to my favorite?
You don't have a cameraman staring at you.
Yeah, especially when he's a vulture.
And I know for the 3 people that are going to view this on YouTube,
four. We'll put some advertising dollars behind it.
But it might make it nervous. But if you put like just a suggestion, if you put in the title of the podcast on YouTube that kitten's playing and that, it might attract a lot more people.
We might. I don't know. We're gonna have to put a big thumb picture of a kitten or something. But
there's some other things I was going to tell you. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Did you have any questions for me? I'll take questions from my brother, but not usually from people I don't. I like to make it about them.
When I'm in a gloomy mood and I need to laugh, I watch your podcast with the Black Panther Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny. I don't know why. It just makes me funny. The funny part was when you
kept on saying,
was it Uganda or Rwanda?
I said Waganda.
And
he's like, it's fucking Wakanda. And that's
you said you said Uganda or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because Uganda's a real place.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, that's why I just my brain took me there. And he's like, it's fucking Wakanda. We had to spell it out on the screen. And when I asked him,
Mary Jane? What was it, Mary Jane? When I
asked him if I could do, I said, maybe we'll do a podcast there in Wakanda one day. And I asked him, do you think they'll let us? He's like, I will allow that. I'm king. I forgot he was the king. Oh, man. But we're going to have another one, actually, for Halloween. Probably a really funny one. He might even be on again. But I don't know. Spider-Man didn't contribute too much. He was just.
I still don't know the difference between Marvel and DC. Is that embarrassing?
I just found out the other day from these guys.
Who's DC and who's Marvel?
DC, I believe, is Batman, Superman.
Marvel is Stan Lee then, right?
Stan Lee,
Yeah.
Okay. DC is...
so Marvel, Spider-Man, more of like
Hulk.
The Flash.
Yeah, The Flash, Green Lantern.
Yeah,
I think Green Lantern. And,
I didn't know that
Thor.
Stan Lee puts himself in the movies.
He does
So cool.
It's so funny.
Yeah, he passed away.
I knew that. Just a few months ago. He didn't recently. I would say like max maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
But he does a cameo in every movie. That's kind of like his stick. Like
it's funny to me when I think about that one person created all of them. Like, it's funny how, let's say I created Spider-Man and you've seen what I was doing or heard about this character I was making, and Tanvir made The Flash and you made Superman. It's funny to me how it's not a collaboration of like 20, 30 people that made these characters. Like, it's one guy just going to town, creating all these personalities, these stories. And it's crazy how there's only two, like out of the whole comic books. Well, now there's more, but it's just funny how it's one guy that did them all. You'd think like it's a collaboration, or was
talk about a creative mind. It's amazing how they come up with these things. Like Stanley, how he came up with these characters.
Did he smoke weed?
I don't know. Yeah,
might have. Oh yeah, Stanley was in heydays back in the 60s when weed became a thing. Probably. We should research that when they started surfacing. Was it when cocaine became legal or cocaine started showing up on the shores of Miami? I was going to ask you one more question. Get the hell off my... No, I was going to ask you one more question. I forgot. You're going to Lebanon in a couple of weeks?
Yes.
You took all those hockey sticks with you?
They
Are you going to open up like
No.
Get a game going?
The kids, they have nets there. We shipped nets there, and they took their sticks. I wrapped them, and they shipped them today.
So you're going to have some pennies, start a couple of teams?
There's a few kids that from our community that play hockey, and they now know that we have hockey. And I talked to other parents. They've taken sticks too. That was funny.
Yeah.
Wayne Saifuddin said to me, he goes, "Great minds think alike." He goes, I took sticks too for my kids. So.
You're going to turn dad's land by the house into a hockey rink,
yeah. Plus 40 weather every day.
Man, I wish I was going with you guys.
I was going to talk. I had a couple other things. I thought about them and then I forgot them about practice and that. Did we cover everything?
I think we did. You listen, everybody that gets off this podcast, the first thing they say, and Tanvir's my witness, is they always take their headphones off, put it on the thing, and they're like, "Oh man, I forgot to mention." Always.
My phone number.
I mean, it's you're telling us about yourself. There's tons of things. I mean, I remember like probably the stories you have. How was it being in San Jose in Palmer West? How was that experience? Because I know you had your opportunity to go to, was it Calgary and do it there? Like, where are the other chiropractic colleges that you can?
Calgary. When I
there was
first
another
applied,
place.
I've actually applied to LA, and I was gonna go to LA.
Okay.
I met a couple of fine gentlemen from U of A. Mm-hmm. And for Edmontonians, of course, and they were going to Palmer West. So I ended up just switching schools, and I went to Palmer before I even started. Yeah. So I ended up going with them to Palmer, and I loved it. Like living in San Jose.
You played hockey there.
Living in San Jose was great. I have flashbacks. I think about it all the time about living in California.
I wanted San Jose to win this year just because of you.
It was
because I became a fan after you started living there.
It was so much fun. Like what a world to live in. And this is. Especially pre 9/11, it was an awesome time to be around there. But then
it was an awesome time to be an Arab in the States.
9/11 really changed everything for me personally, because when I moved to California, I was gonna set up there and I was not leaving. I was I was gonna try to become a U.S. citizen. 9/11 happened and it just changed everything. And for us Canadians, as Canadian
everything
students,
got harder.
Of course, it became very hard to get.
The loopholes became smaller.
And unfortunately, like us Canadian students, we had a couple of strikes against us in the sense that we're, like me especially, I'm a visible minority. I came to the U.S. on a student visa, just like the 9/11 terrorists did. So these were things that were
weren't in your favor.
No, it didn't work. It wouldn't work well when I was going to apply to my U.S. I think it was called an H-1B visa, or I don't know what they call it, like landed immigrant, like here in Canada. But and at the time, 2002, I met who is now my lovely wife. I met her at the time, and it just worked all together just to come back to Canada. Yeah. I lived in Calgary for a little bit.
Because you're doing the long distance thing, and that's shit.
For sure. And then I did my internship in Calgary, downtown Calgary, with Dr. Menzies, and it was a great experience. But after that, I didn't mind living in Calgary. I loved the people of Calgary, like our relatives, they were great people, my wife's relatives. But then I wanted to move back to Edmonton. When you grow and you're born and raised in Edmonton and you bleed oil, you like to be here. And I wouldn't. You know what the funny thing is?
I can't imagine you cheering for the Calgary Flames.
The funny thing is, I hear a lot of people. I hear people hating on Edmonton, and those are the people that have never left Edmonton. But I've lived outside of Edmonton, And I tell you, I can be anywhere in the world. It's just a matter of doing a licensing exam and being allowed to practice. And I would never leave Edmonton. I love it here.
Yeah.
I love this city.
Oh, I don't blame you, man. This is the farthest I've been from Edmonton, next door to Beaumont, and I love
the city. It's easy to get around it. It's friendly people. Just so many. It's a safe city. Yeah, and of course there's crime, but where isn't there crime? There's crime everywhere. Especially if you're looking for it. If you're looking for trouble, you're going to find it. But in Edmonton, it's just I love this city, and I can't see myself living here anywhere else. And probably my next step in life is, depending on what my kids do with their lives, if they end up going to college in the States or on hockey scholarships or wherever they end up going. Yeah. Probably me and the wife, then we'll figure out what we're going to do. What's our next step in life, where we're going to live in that. But for now, I love being in Edmonton, and I'm going to practice in Edmonton. And, I even practice back on the north side where I grew up. So.
Yeah. Well, when you get back from Lebanon, we'll have a catch-up podcast. In the meantime, tell Tony he missed out on 2 amazing donors. Yes. He's going to wonder why you called him and put your phone on airplane mode. Okay, brother. Okay. Have a safe trip, and we'll see you when you get back.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Keep on buzzing.